in our in just post it in the Discord.
I'm just gonna. I just posted it. Like, this is what I'm seeing.
Where did you put it?
Like in the welcome in friend.
Why'd you put it in there?
I don't. That was the first place it was there. I'll delete it once you guys see it.
So your camera is flipping.
Yeah, it's flipping mad. That is.
Oh my god.
I'm deleting this.
Oh, James.
This is the best pre-roll content.
It's just, this is how it is all the time. Just always, all the time. Okay, I tweeted. Is there anything else I need to do, James? I did live.
You did sound check to make sure we're good.
I did
tweeted,
sound check.
Discorded, Facebooked.
I discorded my Discord.
All right, I think that's all you need to do.
No,
you just need to tell
no,
me
I didn't.
right before we. And my name's James, so I can click record.
So 89 TMG, Hedwig, and the Angry Inch. Come hang out. I need to start putting things in other Discords to promo, but I really don't.
Yeah,
I'm
I
scared.
promoted you in mine.
Thank you. I mean,
Thank you.
I tagged you in our announcement. Okay. Yeah, James, are you good to go? I'm good to go.
Talk real quick.
Hello. I'm
Alright,
talking.
I'm good.
Okay, great. Queen, are you ready?
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, I'm gonna switch over. We're on on screen now. Hello.
Howdy.
Hi.
James, start us off. Start us
Hey,
off.
my name's James. Oh,
My-
wait, no. Sorry. It's. Hey, guys, my name's James,
And I'm Corwin.
and welcome to
This Movie's Gay.
Get out of here, Corwin. You're not supposed to do that.
I wanted to.
I'm muting you.
No.
In the edit,
Yeah.
in the edit, you will be so muted. Good
Oh
thing
my
we're not in the
God.
same room because there won't even be microphone bleed.
Wow. I can't believe you would just cut my voice out like this. And
Of course I would.
he's silencing me. He's censoring me.
I am.
On my own podcast.
It's half your podcast.
Half my podcast.
If anything, it's like 55 me or I mean, unless we're talking about the Twitch stream, then it's 55 you, or maybe even more. You do more. But when it comes to podcasting, when it edits, I'm spending an hour plus more on the show than you are.
I mean, I'm also like researching movies, finding guests, setting that up.
Man, no, you're researching movies.
Yes.
Most of the time, it's the day before you say, I guess we're doing this one.
It's because
suggested
I
this
have a
one.
list.
Yes.
Of course, Queen because I asked Queen. I found Queen the guest and asked Queen to join us. Hello.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, you are
Hi.
being a producer in that sense of finding
I am
guests.
doing things. Hello.
The guests I find end up flaking on us, so...
Oop. And speaking of guests, we're joined by the wonderful, the amazing, the fellow streamer, Queen City Q. Hello, Queen. You've been on camera, and while James has been ignoring you, so rudely censoring me. Oh my God.
Not ignoring, that's how our show always goes. We do a little banter up front, then that's how most podcasts are. You always try to paint me in a light that is foul.
That's because on your other podcast, you paint me in a light that is foul. So let's.
It's not a proper podcast unless you ignore your guest for at least 1 minute.
Corwin also
completely ignored.
drop the plural from podcast because I only talk trash about you guys on a single podcast.
Okay, then you talk trash in another podcast.
Also, that everyone knows, or at least I hope the listeners know of that show, I am playing a character. I don't really think you guys are polluting my best friend Tyler Bergquist into him then also saying devious things and unkempt material about my show. I don't really think you guys are able to mind control my friend from another state.
I don't know, James. I've heard you talk about theories of things, and you might actually think that.
I don't think that. I only think if
He
you've
said
been
that too.
knocked unconscious.
He said that too fast and like shook his head too much on it. No, the body language lied. The body language lied.
No, there's a delay.
There's no
a
delay on my end. I'm
delay.
seeing it straight away. You're not seeing anything from me, but I'm seeing you. Nope.
Half a second delay.
Nah.
What I was going to say is the only weird theory that I truly, honest to God, believe in is that when you get knocked unconscious, like from a hit in the head, those become like save points in your life, so that you can like, go back to and experience. You know, like when your computer gets kind of fucked up and you're like, oh, I need to go back to like the last checkpoint. It's kind of like that. So if you ever get into a situation where, oh my God, I am able to go back to a previous time in my life, I have so many from my childhood. Is that unfortunate that I can't like, I should have been being like, hey, Nicole, knock me out right now so I can use this later in life as a checkpoint. And then Nicole has a friggin' frying pan and thwips me with it.
If you want, I'll be your save point any day.
Come just punch me in the head and I guess make sure I don't fall asleep. My parents let me
I got a
fall
nice
asleep.
cast iron for you.
I hear people shouldn't be cleaning cast iron, so I don't want anything
clean them.
greasy.
You clean them.
No, I thought cast iron you're supposed to like keep greasy.
No.
Or am I thinking of a different kind of pan?
No, I think you're just confused about how you clean cast irons and how they work.
Okay, please tell me, because people posting these memes are incorrect.
So cast iron, first of all, the not being able to wash them with soap is completely a myth. You can wash them with soap, just not a lot.
Thank God.
The way that cast iron works is that you are basically heating an oil that has a high smoking point up so that the makeup of the oil sort of changes and coats the pan so that it makes it non-stick.
All right.
So you're not just like, sticking greasy ass pans in the cabinet. No.
Yeah, see, that's what all these people from my hometown are posting memes about. And lesson learned, don't trust people from my hometown.
I mean, a lot of people do that, like especially like old grandmas, they'll just keep it, but you do clean it.
Ugh,
it's not
no.
You do clean it.
That's like also with like stones, you aren't supposed to be using soap with those, or at least that's what Pampered Chef drilled into my mother's head and then into my head. And no thank you, because I never feel like it's actually clean, mother.
Well, that's different because stone, it's porous, so the soap goes into it, so everything's going to taste like soap. That's why you don't use soap on those.
I'm porous and I use soap on me. Exactly.
Nope, not saying
it. But the thing with the cast iron is that layer, it makes like a hardened layer of oil, basically, that food doesn't stick on. And that's why, soap, totally fine. It might break down a couple layers, but the point of the cast iron is to build up a bunch of those layers so that, the food is non-stick. But you don't want to use like tomatoes or anything acidic, because that will just break right through. That'll go right down to your iron, and you're going to have to reseason the pan. It's also going to stick.
I am always cooking up oranges, so that's probably bad.
Yeah, don't do that. How was your week, James? We haven't asked that. We've just been,
It's going to be quick. it has to be quick because I know in other podcasts I'll be talking about this as well, and the listeners
Okay.
will be like, "Wow, this was a week in James's life."
This was a week in James's life. Oh my god.
TC got us Paramount. Well, TC got himself Paramount Plus, and of course, other people will get Paramount Plus as well. This guy in point. They have Double Dare on there, 200 plus episodes, and you know how people have those memes, or not memes, those bumper stickers that's like, rather be fishing. I want one rather be watching Double Dare. It is so fucking good. I'm cheering on these children who are now older than me by decades. And this show is so janky for it to be this nationally broadcast game show, and I'm excited about it. It's amazing. They just don't give a fuck on this show. That's how janky it is. A super funny thing, I think it's like the third episode on Paramount Plus. There's this cauldron that the kids need to like fish stuff out of. So it's like a bubbling cauldron, has dry ice in it. But this is the 80s. There wasn't the internet out. People didn't know about special effects and all of that. And before these kids are about to grab into it, this kid looks scared and looks up at Mark Summers and is like, "Is this safe?" And he says, the subtitles confirm it. He says, "Oh, no, we just put some silly stuff in it. You're fine." And it's just so funny that he called it silly stuff to explain dry ice in 1 second.
Oh my god. Okay. Well,
So
that sounds like quite a week.
yeah, I've
Just
been
watching
watching a
that.
bunch of that.
Got it. Queen, how's your week been?
It's been great.
I love it. Amazing. We still have, a few minutes of front talk. If you wanted to add anything, Queen, can you tell us a little bit about you?
Honestly, it's been like a really good week. I have found like so many games that have been like stealing my Dead by Daylight time. So like Hunt's got an event going on. Dead by Daylight's new DLC came out today, which I forced you to watch me go through the cosmetics of.
They look beautiful. I might get the game. I have the game. I might play the game just for those,
Is that the game with that Ding Dong Man and
Yes.
all the horror creatures? Okay.
Yeah. And then Home Sweet Home, I got to play that. What that one just came out. So I have been in just like horror game like heaven. So it's been great.
I'm surprised. Like, I understand why you chose Hedwig, and why you wanted to watch that one, and I'm sure I'll understand a lot more whenever we talk about it and you get into it. But I was surprised that you didn't want to do a horror movie.
No.
No. Like right away. No.
Hedwig is there is several movies that I think are like quintessential queer movies to watch, and apparently you've watched them with people other than me for the most part, except for Hedwig.
Yeah, except for Hedwig. We have not watched Hedwig until now.
Pride, Tu Wong Fu.
I love Pride.
Paris is Burning. 3 movies you need to watch. And
Yeah.
Hedwig.
I mean, we just watched Paris is Burning a few weeks ago, a couple months ago, whatever it was. Oh yeah, it's been a month and a half now. Because we tried to watch it our first year during Pride Month, but our guest was super late.
Which I guess was my fault.
It's always you should have brought gas for his car. That's what you should have done. You should have biked out there.
Remember, I have a scooter, not a bike.
You should have scooted out there.
Vespa.
No, he has a little razor scooter. The funniest thing is, like, I've walked to his house a couple of times and he hasn't been there, and just like seeing him scoot up, and I'm like, all right, James, I see you on that scooter.
It's the greatest thing it's the best investment I ever did, because it's lightweight, it's compactable instantly, so you can bring it on all of the public transit with you. So if you're like, oh my God, the bus is on, I need to transfer from one bus to another bus, but that second bus is like 2 blocks away, well, just get on the scooter and you're there instantly.
Oh my
Is it
god.
electric or is it manual?
It's manual.
It's
It's
man.
a Razor Scooter
Perfect.
5A. It's nice.
He got that manual scooter. All right. So I'm glad both your weeks are good. My week has been fine. I've literally just been on Minecraft like 24/7. I have not done
Yes, you
anything except
have.
for Minecraft. It has been Minecraft, Minecraft, and Minecraft. I am a witch now. I'm a wizard. There are a lot of things going on. I got everything. It's great. I love it. I spent 5 hours the other day sorting chests on stream, and I nearly died not being able to say the words this or that. It took me an hour to complete that challenge. It's amazing. Minecraft. Yeah. So, Queen, thank you so much for suggesting this movie to us and agreeing to be on the show. We this week finally watched Hedwig and the Angry Inch, which is a movie that was originally adapted from the stage musical.
Mhm.
Queen, what we do with every guest is we have them give us a quick synopsis of the plot. Would you
All right.
care to do the honors?
Okay, I have to differentiate the movie versus the musical versus the book, which they came out in reverse order.
Yeah.
So it's based off of a book, which is based off of or so Hedwig the movie is based off of a stage musical, which is based off of a book.
Mm-hmm.
So Hedwig is the story of a genderqueer person who the way it is told is basically this person is stalking a really famous singer who basically took all of their music that they wrote either by themselves or with them. And the way the story is told in all adaptations, for the most part, is you're basically watching their show at these really, really shitty venues, like a buffet place and a shitty diner and everything, as they're saying what got them to where they are now. And every once in a while, they yell off at the door towards the famous person. And they say songs that relate to their life and tell the story of how they got to where they are now. It starts with them being a child in Berlin who was abused by his father, by a priest, by several other people, and then lived with his mother alone in Berlin on the communist side of Berlin because his mom thought it would be better than living in the free side. He grows up. It kind of hints that he's kind of questioning himself until a American soldier meets him and uh, convinces him to move to the Americas with him by getting married because they're in love. The thing though is back in those days, in order to get married in the communist side of Berlin, you have to go through a physical examination, and Hedwig is assigned male at birth. So his mother gives him her passport to take his name. He goes to get surgery, um, like gender confirmation surgery. After the surgery, though, a couple days later, it heals back. So they have a song where they talk about it, where essentially they took away his 6 inches, or they took away his 5 inches, but 6 inches grew back. So he has like a 1 inch little mound of flesh. Where it failed. But he still gets to the States, but a year after moving to the States, the military man leaves him. So he becomes a hooker and a babysitter on the military barracks. While on the military barracks, he meets this Christian man whose youngest son he's the nanny for, but he ends up starting a relationship with the oldest son. Um, that involves a lot of like songwriting and stuff like that. What happens is though is once they start getting a little bit more towards the intimate side, Johnny Gnosis, who's the person they're following, finds out that he's not AFAB and freaks out and leaves, but takes all the messages that he learned about rock and roll, all the lyrics and everything like that, and becomes a huge star, but then denies any existence of Hedwig. Um, During this, Hedwig is touring, and Hedwig is with is married to Yitzhak, who is their entire band is from another country, and Hedwig holds their passports hostage. Um, Yitzhak and them end up having a huge fight. They rip up Yitzhak's passport because Yitzhak decides to try and go on their own and ask for a divorce. And there's a really important part from the book and the musical that kind of gets cut out here, which I will definitely go into. And eventually the entire band splits because of that. And Hedwig ends up being a prostitute again. Johnny Gnosis picks up Hedwig. They get drunk, they drive the limo, and they kind of start making amends. And then Hedwig crashes into a semi. Because of crashing into the semi, because she wasn't paying attention because she was yelling at Johnny, it gets exposed that like Johnny Gnosis did know Hedwig this entire time and did like everything Hedwig said was valid and correct. And Hedwig finally gets the fame that they wanted. But in getting that fame they wanted and getting everything they deserve, they realized their perception of like there having to be a soulmate, which they thought was Johnny Gnosis, is false. And that everything that they thought could be destiny or anything, they could have made themselves the whole time. They learn to accept themselves as who they authentically are. They let Yitzhak free, and they let Yitzhak be the drag queen Yitzhak wants to be, which is something you don't get in the movie, which I will explain for you both later. And then the movie finishes.
Yes. That's the most in-depth. I think that's the most in-depth synopsis we've ever gotten. That was the movie. I think is it Johnny Gnosis or Tommy Gnosis?
Oh, it's Tommy Gnosis. I am an idiot.
No, you're fine. I literally, whenever you said, whenever you were saying Johnny Gnosis, I was like, wait, is that the name?
No,
but then I also didn't want to interrupt you. Yeah. So it's a great movie. And a great musical, and it got a lot of traction a few years ago because Neil Patrick Harris played Hedwig, and did a Tony performance with the Hedwig cast. Yeah, it's a big movie. It's crazy that we haven't done it until now, but also like I want like a guest that's knowledgeable that loves it. So good choice. Glad to have you here for that.
Fun fact: I don't like Neil Patrick's version of it at all.
That's fair. That's fair. I know a few people don't. We were actually supposed to get it here, in Chicago. I think we did. I don't remember if that's. Yeah. We got it a few years ago. That's like around the time it came is when I left Broadway in Chicago, which is the place that brings those big musicals to Chicago. And I remember a lot of people were very confused and very concerned about that musical. They were like, I don't want to watch this. It's too gay.
Well, it's appropriately gay.
Right. It was a lot. There's just a lot of things I heard from like even like not at work, just like, around. It's like, hello, just get over it. Don't see it then.
My biggest problem with Neil Patrick Harris's version of it is he's too sweet. His voice is too soft and like loving. Like you can hear compassion in his voice, which is great in The Origin of Love, but that's it. Because that movie is rough. Like Hedwig is a rough person.
Hedwig is an ass. Hedwig is not great. But like it's understandable. Yeah.
Hedwig is the villain in the movie who just happens to have another villain, but they are not good. Like at all. And if anybody watches it and goes, Hedwig is so amazing,
some concerns.
Go see a counselor.
So James, did you have any notes? What were your thoughts? Tell us.
Right off the bat, this is a movie I wish I had seen in high school because it's not in what's the word I'm trying to think of, in like plot or subject matter like the movies I'm about to bring up, but in tone it's a lot like, or like in maybe like cult statusy feeling, like when you see a movie, you're like, oh, this probably has a cult following. Things like Wrist Cutters or what's it is. I always forget the name of this movie. Tideland, or even like The Heart is Deceitful Above All Things. Those movies were ones that like my alt friends would talk about, and I feel like this one fits in there, and it should be like teens should be watching this movie and being like, this is the fucking best.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it's definitely like my group of friends that watch it. Definitely, I watch Wrist Cutters with for sure.
I have no idea what any of those things are.
It's really depressing. Don't watch it if you're sad.
I think Wrist Cutters is only depressing in like the beginning and like the theme of the movie, but
the
it's
point of
kind.
the movie is that if you kill yourself, you go to a place and like you go to a world where it's the same as your regular life was before you killed yourself, but more depressing.
Oh my god.
It's just like a bleak world where like instead of beaches that have sand, it's just used condoms and needles, I think. It's like a fantastical look on the afterlife if you kill yourself. I think it's a great movie, and I recommend everyone watch it.
Oh my
It's so
god.
depressing. But yeah, like this movie was really big with the same people who were very into stuff like Party Monster, for example. Kind of that there's a
Which
point
we
in
need to
queer cinema-
watch.
What
Yeah.
was that, Corwin?
You haven't watched Party Monster
We haven't
yet
watched
either?
Party Monster yet. Mm-mm.
I will come back
It's
on
on
to
the
watch
list.
Party Monster.
Okay. We'll have you.
So with it was kind of in these movies where they were showing the darker but very real sides of queer life. Not the pretty side, not the part where we were the heroes in our own stories or, showing our best light, but we were showing a more authentic side, and it would manage to be campy and dark and real at the same time. Which, I mean, if you hang out with large gay crowds, it is campy and dark and real at the same time.
That's why all of the gay streamers love Dead by Daylight. Like, let's just put that out there.
It's true. If you're a queer streamer, like the first question you ask them, like, so do you have Dead by Daylight yet? If not, buy it when it's on sale because you will play it.
I haven't yet. I did the tutorial on my Switch. That's all I've done. I have it on Switch.
You have it on Switch?
I have it on Switch.
Rip.
It was cheap on Switch.
It's on sale right now on PC.
My PC will not handle that. That's why I need to do console. But yeah, that's totally understandable. And I feel like a lot of that also comes from just the queerness that's innate in the horror genre. Just because of the origins of all of like the villains in queer genres or in horror genres, I mean. Yeah. No.
Well, I mean, there's the trope in horror movies for a long time about bury your gays, which like there's studies about where gay people either had to be villains or had to die immediately.
Yep. Yep. And that's something we've touched on in almost all the the gay horror movies we've watched so far, including James's favorite, Gay Bread and Breakfast of Terror. It's literally the worst movie, Queen.
I've been rethinking, and I think the best movie that we've watched is Freddy's Revenge. Like, that one is been creeping in the back of my head. It's like, wow, man, that one's so fucking good.
What about Sleepaway Camp?
We haven't seen Sleepaway Camp yet. We had it on our list to watch, but it's one of those that we haven't done yet.
It's like the iconic gay horror movie because it's not even like kind of gay.
Yeah,
it's blatantly gay.
Whenever we did our very first episode, that was on the list. But we ended up going with Hellbent instead.
I'd like to rewatch Hellbent, not in a torrented version, just so we get like, if there's a 4K release of Hellbent, if it hasn't happened, make it happen.
I thought we watched it on Amazon.
No, we had to obtain that not legally
Oh my god, don't.
because I don't think it was available anywhere at the time.
Oh. I think that's why
Or-
we didn't do Sleepaway Camp, is we couldn't find it.
It is hard to find.
That's been the problem with like some of these movies. Where like James ordered a movie that was straight to DVD. It was awful. Um, so it's been hard to find like some of these movies. So it's hard to be like, oh yeah, you all should watch this movie, and it's like, well, where the fuck do we find it? So James,
Let's do Sleepaway Camp 4. Let's just get right to the goods.
No, the first one is the goods.
I want to hear a kid say like "suck my ass, it smells" or whatever the hell he says.
what?
There's a line where Nicole, what does that kid say? I always say the Gigi Allen song. Oh, he just says your ass stinks, then runs away after pulling a prank on someone.
Okay.
Thank you, Nicole.
Jesus. James, did
Okay.
you have any other notes?
Yeah, so like why do you need 31 wigs? I counted all the wigs in that first hotel room. If you're traveling on a small budget, it just seems like more of a hassle. Like 10 wigs, that's fine. But why would you need 31 wigs?
My guess is that Hedwig is living on the road, and where are you going to put your things if you're living on the road?
Yeah. Also, did you see how many different costumes they wore? They were
It's-
wearing a different outfit for every single show.
Mm-hmm.
And as somebody who has literally an entire tote full of wigs, plus a whole bunch of styled up, how dare you?
Yeah, James, have you
Do you
ever
have
seen Drag
30
Race?
Do you
Have
have
you- have you-
31 just like layered, like outlining a hotel room?
Have you
That's-
ever...
No,
That's
because
my-
I have proper storage for them, so I don't have to. But if you're moving
Okay,
around,
yeah.
that's what you got to do.
I feel, but it feels like as
James,
like
you don't
all
know
on,
anything
like,
about wigs. Why are you commenting on this?
I know some stuff about wigs. I live with someone who wears wigs.
And I feel
Okay,
like
how
someone who
often-
wears wigs
How
should
often have
speak
you
on
changed
this.
your hair?
Have I changed my hair?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't know, like once a year. You
Okay.
mean like
Do
hairstyle?
do you ever style it differently?
Oh, I don't like anything that is not of my own body. I do not like on my body. So
Yeah, but do you like comb it the other way?
Oh yeah, I comb it the other way. Yeah.
Exactly. So when you do that with a wig, you can't do that if you style it. It's stuck that way.
Yeah, but I'm just saying 31.
Yeah, so 31 different ways to style your hair if you're using hairspray. If you're getting haircuts, it's totally a legit thing.
I think also my biggest thing is I know Hedwig themselves is not moving those. They are making one of the like people in the band move them. So I'm
It's not.
empathizing with them.
Yitzhak, which like you got to remember, like another thing that is implied too is, so you may have noticed that during the movie, Yitzhak's very interested in the wigs.
Mhm.
The reason for that is Yitzhak traditionally is always played by a woman who is playing a man who was a drag queen who married Yitzhak, and Yitzhak played a firm rule that if we are to be married, you are never to do drag ever again. Ever.
Damn.
Because Yitzhak is jealous because Hedwig is jealous of Yitzhak because Yitzhak has a natural talent at being this fantastic drag queen. And Hedwig trying to emulate a woman and seeing somebody who is, assigned male at birth, doing drag for fun and not being female all the time, being a more feminine version than Hedwig, who is this genderqueer person who is trying to align more with the feminine side of them, gets jealous that this person's a better singer, a better performer, a better looking, and doesn't want it. So they marry them so they can never do drag again, which is why Yitzhak's obsessed with wigs and probably happy to style them because that's the closest he can get to doing drag again.
Just a lot
It's
of
actually really depressing.
Yeah. I was gonna say I still empathize, but in a different way now. I wish they would have dived into that more in the movie, but we do like see things that like my first note was removing the battery pack from the wireless mic during the first performance. Well, Yitzhak is like hitting a very high note. Hedwig just rips that out so no one can hear them.
Rude.
Which
I feel
Yeah,
like you mentioned censoring me in the beginning. Hello, James is a Hedwig ripping my wireless mic pack out.
if I wouldn't do that. It would affect the sound, so it like people would hear a huge pop, I assume. So
I mean, and they do, in the thing, like Hedwig goes louder and pulls it out, and you can hear the visible like wow.
Wow. Oop. Not yeah, and it's that's in the very 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 beginning of the movie, and it's setting the standard for Hedwig. Like Hedwig is not a great person,
No,
and that's okay.
Hedwig is first and foremost a survivor.
Mm-hmm.
And the definition of just because you have traumas doesn't justify your traumas that you give others.
Yup.
But and like when you watch it, like you have to keep that in mind that like Hedwig's not a good person. Hedwig is a person who has been in shitty circumstance, and basically learned the best way to survive is to take advantage of people and to dominate over people,
Mm-hmm.
which is not a good thing in any way, shape, or form. But it's the way they are. And the whole point of the ending, like epiphany, is when Hedwig realizes who she is as a person and that she can't blame everything else and everything's not destined and she really is the make or break for her own future and accepts themselves. And that's when she lets Yitzhak go, and that's when she lets go of her resentments to Tommy, and that's when she starts doing her recovery to being like a good person. And it's because at the very end they finally get everything they ever wanted and they realize it wasn't enough. They have a breakdown on stage, and then they realize like everything they were thought they needed to have and everything they thought was destined wasn't enough and wasn't what they needed. What they needed all this time was to realize like that they're valid and okay as who they are. And then they set everybody else free by, instead of trying to force everybody to be under them and to adore them, they realize that they could just be a strong person by themselves, and then they set everybody free. And it's really kind of endearing because it's that, if you were watching a Disney movie, for example, this would be that part where the big bad person has that change of heart and, lets people go, and then everybody goes back to the magical kingdom and sang a happy song and whatever.
Corwin, do you ever worry about me like what if I'm not going to say once, it's if I ever finally get the fan base I want and it's not enough and I have a breakdown on stage, and not in the predictable way I'll have a breakdown on stage, which is just crying for 10 minutes out of happiness?
What was the question? What am I worried about?
Do you ever think I'll be like, oh, it's just not enough. I'll never be satisfied, just like Hamilton and other person in Hamilton. Eliza. No, not Eliza. Angelica. Peggy.
Oh my god.
Peggy, maybe?
It's Angelica.
I know.
No, Peggy's the one that like you see from the beginning, and then they're like, "There's Peggy."
And Peggy. James, no, I'm worried that you'll have breakdowns all the time. I'm not really worried about you having a breakdown because being successful is not enough.
It will
I think
be,
you'll
though.
be okay.
I just want like 5,000 fans who enjoy what I do and is like, I'm excited for the next thing to come.
5,000
instead of just
I think that's
in
attainable.
one ear and out the other.
I mean, you don't have to worry about doing the Hedwig thing because Hedwig's was like a quest of vengeance, to be honest.
Who are
you trying to show up?
All my co-hosts.
James is trying to have James is like, I'm having a quest of vengeance against Corwin because his channel has more followers.
He's like, Corin is my Yitzhak. I'm stealing all his crowns.
Nick Foster,
My
because
tiaras.
he believes in me, but I'm like, I don't think you should.
Why would you have a quest of vengeance against someone that believes in you?
Well,
They're
also,
like, James, I want to support you. I want to, like, here is my adoration. Here is I'm a fan. And instead of, like, taking that, mean, like, thank you, you're like, I'm going to get vengeance for this act against me.
Nick once said he said, "Hey James, I don't think you should try and get on like a hardcore record label like for punk rock. You should be trying to get on a rap label. I think you would have a much better time for that." And I was like, "I will get on a hardcore record label
Oh my
out of
God.
spite for you." And he's like, "Well, if you do, I'm going to be happy for you. You're like finding success."
That is something that he would say.
Yeah. And it's also something I would say.
I mean, that's also, like, how I live my life, is through spite, I feel. Whenever someone's like, oh, you can't do this, I'm like, oh, yes, I can. Yes, I can. And now I'm in theater.
I mean, I have this wonderful belief that I live by, which is you don't have to get petty if you stay petty. So...
The pettiness, I also love pettiness, but in, like, I feel like my petty is different. So my way to explain it, I had roommates a few years ago that they argued about buying toilet paper. I had bought one of those, like, big 32 packs of toilet paper, so it was like one of their turns to buy toilet paper, and one of them bought like a 4-pack, and then the other one bought like a 4-pack, and they were like, you're just buying like, or one of them bought like a single roll or something like that, and they were like, you're just buying blah 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 blah, and I just went and bought another 32 pack and put it in there, and I was like, I don't care who the fuck's turn it is, I want some goddamn toilet paper.
See, I got
That's
a
my
tushy,
petty.
So I really helped with that one. Now we buy toilet paper once every 6 months.
Oh yes, those bidets.
Mm. It's the toilet that squirts back.
Which is good every time except winter when it's so cold.
No, because it heats up.
Well, I know it heats up, but sometimes you can't get the heated ones.
I got the heated ones.
Get the heated one, Corwin.
Proud of you.
It was like $25 more. Except my one roommate turns it to like searing hot, so like I have to like sometimes run it ahead of time to make sure that it's not like steaming. Like, why?
Or do what I had to do when I lived in a trailer in Michigan during the wintertime. Before you spritz yourself, if you didn't get the heated one, take a hair dryer and like just blast the nozzle for a while, and then it will be warm. What I had to do was our pipes would freeze, so outside I'd, with an extension cord, just have to blast the main pipe with a hair dryer and wait for it to be fine inside. It sucked.
I feel like there were some steps you could have taken to prevent the pipes from freezing.
I mean, I was a 21-year-old on his own for the first time. Not my trailer. It was another person's trailer. They should have been doing these, like, hey,
if you live there,
leave it.
I learned this shit. I lived in Tennessee growing up, and I learned that shit when I was like 10.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that if you leave the water running a slight little bit, it'll be somewhat fine. But also, the main pipe was right, like it was under, like it was, if you, like side skirting on a, there was no insulation around this pipe. Like it was destined to fail.
I mean, even if there's no insulation, during the winter, you should definitely be running.
Well, I didn't know that, Corwin.
So that it doesn't freeze and burst. Yeah, I learned that shit when I was young as hell.
I can't comment. I'm from Canada. That's common knowledge.
Yeah.
Well,
whenever everything was freezing over in Texas, people were like, oh, do people really run their water overnight and shit? And I was like, yes, because that's how you stop the pipes from freezing when they're not insulated.
It's like
hello.
A river.
The rich people commented on this with all their insulated pipes, trying to say, oh, these poor people in Texas don't know how water works and things. Like, yeah, people that are also poor that grew up with non-insulated pipes are given this same fucking knowledge. I live in Hawaii, so I know nothing about preventing freeze. Zelly, that's okay.
That's
we'll teach you. Zelly also said she's eating and she's laughing too much that she's spitting things out of her nose.
Whoa.
What
That's
is
a high
that?
compliment.
What is that?
I
Yeah,
really hope
that's
the
the highest
food's not
compliment.
coming out of your nose because that hurts. As somebody
That
who's had
hurts. That is pain.
When
um.
like the thing you're chewing comes out of your nose, it's not fun.
Oh my god.
Especially if you're just eating Fun Dip. Oh my god, it's granulated sugar coming out of there.
Oh,
It's
James.
like sandpaper
It's
out of your
sand-
mouth.
blasting your
James,
nose.
stop saying blasting noses.
Yeah.
Uh, did you have any other? Thank God it's just water. Yeah, thank God, Zelly. Did you have any other notes? Because we actually, Jesus Christ, we talked for so long and it felt for so little. I feel like we just started and it's already like 45, 47
Yeah.
minutes in.
I liked that they were doing the alt scene. You know, they were going to all these restaurants and performing also on piles of tires. So, Corwin, I'm thinking we need to go on to the alt scene of podcasting, which I know you're thinking, how? What does that even mean? Usually, there's not even a live element, but we just record in different places, like on top of skyscrapers. That's alt.
I
That's
mean,
alternative.
there
Okay,
is a
I'm gonna-
podcast that does that.
I was gonna say there is a podcast I know that films live in a bar, and the bar patrons are encouraged to heckle while they are filming it live, and I have been on it, and it was beautiful.
There's
All
also a
right,
podcast I see TikToks from. They film outside. They just have like a table, and like they'll
Then-
interview people that like walk by or something. I don't know how it
Then-
works.
Let's do, well, tubing.
That's not
Like
possible.
on the
Oh,
water.
no, you get it. Yeah, you just put your Zoom recorder in a plastic bag. You attach it to like a buoy thing, and
James,
then
you would be
waterproof
you would
microphones.
be so pissed about the audio quality. You would be
but-
so mad.
We just get some
But also-
river tone to get that out of there, and we'd be fine.
Some
But that's
river
part of the experience. Is this weird wonky audio, and then you're also thinking, oh well, how more alt can we get? We just don't release it digitally. We put it out on 8-track cassette.
James, okay, how about this? When you're
What's up?
rich, just absolutely fucking rich,
Yeah.
then we can do that.
Submarine. Oh,
Do you see 8-track cassette?
He said fucking submarine.
Aren't those two separate things?
well, no, like an 8-track, like an
A cartridge?
8-track. Like an 8-track. Did they call them 8-track cartridges?
They're cartridges, not cassettes.
Hold on,
Cassettes are tapes.
I do want to know what they like. Did you say an 8-track tape? Because it had tape in it, right? Let's see what an 8-track the suffix is.
I'm looking it up right now. Oh, it is 8-track tape, also known as an 8-track cartridge.
Okay, so
So
yeah,
both.
all right. Cartridge is clunky, but I like it.
I mean, have you seen them though? They are clunky.
Yeah, let's like an 8-track cart. I like that.
I mean, and I mean, one of the lines in one of the songs is, put on the 8-track. By the way, this movie, if you haven't seen it, has the best album.
Oh,
And
so good.
I have heard of the Broadway performances and stuff like that, and I've heard nothing beats the movies, because the movies has the writer of Hedwig and the person who worked with the person who helped write the songs and everything singing it. So he's singing it the way it's meant to be sung, which I find a lot of people don't, because it's his story.
Mhm.
And I just find that nobody's been able to replicate that for me.
I love it. What's your favorite? What are y'all's favorite songs from it? Mine, I really love "Origin of Love" because I love the myth that it's like pulled from anyway. That's a whole thing. I just love Greek mythology, and that's a big part of that. But yeah, what are your favorite songs?
I liked Sugar Daddy in the last one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a really hard one for me, because Sugar Daddy is the most fun song
So
in that
fun.
movie. The Origin Love is one of the sweetest ones. But I really do think Wicked Little Town's probably going to be the one that always kind of sits with me. Also, Wig in a Box is really good.
Which one? There's one. What's the one that they get in a bar fight on? That one is my favorite to
Angry Inch.
watch.
Oh yeah, that
Yeah.
one's also very
That
good.
one's my favorite to like watch because it just gets wild. And I'm like, if I was in that situation where I'm like on stage, playing music, doing whatever, and someone just screams that slur at me, I am swinging. I am
Well, and they
jumping off
do,
that
like, they
goddamn
don't.
stage.
But I mean, like, it's such a like every song on there is good in one way or another. Like, Wig in a Box is so fun and campy. Sugar Daddy is another one that's kind of campy, and I love that it's got that kind of like vintage country feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then yeah, The Origin of Love is just like sweet.
It's sweet. It tells like a beautiful, fun story. Yeah, I like it. I like it.
But
Did you have any other notes, James or Queen?
I loved the quote, "Our apartment was so small, mother made me play in the oven."
Oven great, just
it left a good
permanently.
impression on me, like the stove racks did on my face.
Yeah, that too. Uh,
uh,
Hedwig, which this is also like a time where it's like, oh, Hedwig isn't a fun person. Is that just aggressive hand job in the bathtub?
Like, so like just like walks in, puts the baby on
on
the
the
floor.
floor, the baby on the goddamn floor.
You just like see the water splashing, and then like 10 seconds later, just and like walks away holding this kid.
And water's going everywhere.
That was so
Like,
aggressive.
you got to
Yeah.
make sure you like the motion of the ocean, like literally, is at a steady pace that it isn't splashing.
Okay, James.
There's no wake in this bathtub.
Okay,
This was
James.
the hurricane. This tub was having a hurricane.
Hurricane
Uh,
season.
And then, I mean, I don't think we have time to get into this. This is just like a thought question. Like I put down, is Hedwig a reliable narrator? Do you guys
Wow,
think?
you pulling up reliable narrator. You're talking about not discussing the movies like in depth and stuff, and you said reliable. He said reliable narrator.
This is the thing: is Hedwig is not.
Mm-mm.
Alright.
But in the movie, you get to see what actually happened more than you get to see what Hedwig is. So that's the come you'll find that Hedwig is saying something, but what you're seeing on the movie is quite contradictory in like attitude. Where like Hedwig talks about um X thing happening and how like the fantasy in their head, but when you watch it, you can tell that like other people's reactions are not the same.
Mhm.
Which is what I really liked about the movie is because you can see it, and on the stage play, that's a big part of Yitzhak is Yitzhak kind of questioning them and like performing to show that like the contradictory stuff about it. Um, but yeah, Hedwig's not a good person.
All right.
Hedwig lives in their own little bit of fantasy and has an idea how things should be and everything like that. And that's the ending epiphany is that moment that Hedwig realizes that they have to stop living in that fantasy of like fate and what they want the world to be and take ownership for what it is and make it what they want to be.
Maybe that's what I need to do.
I mean, I think it's Hedwig does have like a good message in that for people because there are a lot of people whether it's in like love or jobs or things like that, they're like, oh, destiny, it's that whole destiny versus man thing. It's like, oh, is this gonna be like, if this happens, it's destined to happen and stuff. And it's like, no, a lot of fate and stuff like that. If you're talking about that, a lot of it's your choice, like what you're doing with the things that are put before you. So Hedwig kind of in the beginning had that, oh, this is destiny. Oh, this is my soulmate. All that, and comes to realize at the end that it's like that's not how really the world works. And it's more choice than destiny.
Yeah.
I mean, bad shit's still gonna happen. That's obviously a thing in real life, but what you do with it.
Well, the thing that I used to always tell people who believed in fate and everything like that. As I said, I don't think if there is if there's a higher power that be, they're not gonna give you what you want. They aren't a cosmic cash register. What they're gonna do is they're gonna provide you the opportunities to get what you want, and it's up to you to take those opportunities and get them yourself. And very much that's kind of the position Hedwig's in, is when Hedwig starts doing a little bit more work and hustle, that's when they start, finding their true selves. And that you find those moments when Hedwig relies on destiny is when they're the least successful.
Mm-hmm.
And when Hedwig starts putting the work in, that's when things start working out okay.
Yeah. Wonderful. We have been going for a bit. Any last notes, any final thoughts, things like that? James?
I highly recommend. 2 thumbs up.
Well, I meant no. It's not if you recommend it. Jesus.
I wrote that down. I put down, I highly recommend.
It's my
2 thumbs
last
up.
note! Queen, was there anything else you wanted to add to the movie? Anything that we've missed in talking about so far? Besides, like, everything.
Is, when you watch Hedwig, remember that this is one of the first very active representations of a gender queer person, and it's not beautiful or nice in any way. There is some very, very harsh messages that are in this. But as over the top as it seems, you will find genderqueer people who are fighting with a lot of some of the issues that you can see Hedwig deal with. So a little bit of a trigger warning. It is very hard. It is very intense, but it is very noteworthy to watch. And just remember that everybody's the hero of their own story, but everybody's the villain in somebody else's. And that's an important lesson to learn from that.
Yeah. Overall, definitely recommend the movie. I've seen it a bunch of times. So I enjoyed being able to watch it again for the podcast yesterday. And just reveling in a bit of the soundtrack. I really like that style of music. Anyway, so it was great that I got to do that, because it's been a minute since I've seen a musical.
Mm-hmm.
This has been too long. So yeah, highly recommend. 2 thumbs up.
They did a musical episode of Double Dare last night.
Oh my God, James! Jesus Christ,
how
would they even do
this chat?
Queen is like, I'm never coming back. James, I'm never. If you say Double Dare one more goddamn time,
I double dare you.
I'll take the physical challenge, guys.
The physical challenge is you better scoot to my house now, so I can pelt you with meatballs. Not on stream, James. Jeez.
I'll dox you.
James is censoring me and doxing me. Wow. The audacity of it all.
The audacity of that caucasity.
Oh my God. Well, thank you so much, Queen, for joining us. We're definitely gonna have you on again for a future episode. Maybe Party Monster, since we haven't done that one, or Sleepaway Camp. So many movies to do, so many things. We've only done 88 episodes, and a bunch of those were filled with things like Eating Out 2, Eating Out 3.
That was a dark time in queer cinema. There was a dark time in queer cinema where the best movie coming out was not another gay movie, because at least they admitted that they were parsing the fact that every gay movie coming out in that late 2000s period was absolute garbage.
Yeah, and Vampire Boys 2. I won't include Dynastud in that.
Who thought these needed a sequel?
And the sequel is so much worse. It's it's bad.
So bad it's good. We enjoyed it. We recommended it. If you want a fun laugh,
Don't lie to your viewers like that.
We're a house of lies built on a house of lies, Queen. So yeah, thank you for being here. For those of you that don't know or caught late, our guest is Queen City Q on the Twitch. I also tag them on Twitter, so if you've got our Twitter, do go there, follow them. And I'm gonna give them a shout out in my Twitch chat again, real quick. But yeah, they stream Dead by Daylight, horror games. What else were you were streaming something else that I was like, ooh, you streamed the Sims too at one point, didn't you?
Yeah, I do the Sims every once in a while. I've been doing a lot of retro lately as well. We, I think, are like 5 followers away from me having to do the Barbie Horse Adventure stream.
Yeah. 5 followers. That could be y'all.
But yeah, I'm a variety streamer. First and foremost, I really need to start playing Dead by Daylight again because I haven't seen it in a hot minute.
They also do community games and drag streams as well. So
I think
a podcast
that I was on.
I think you're 4 followers away from that now.
Am I?
James is going to follow you. James, we've rated Queen before. You should be following Queen already.
I don't know why I'm not.
Jesus. So thank you for being here. We're definitely gonna have you on again. Is there? I know I just gave some of your plugs, but is there anything else you want to plug? Like social medias, all that stuff.
No, like I said, you can my YouTube's Queen City Q, my Twitch is Queen City Q TV because somebody stole Queen City Q and doesn't even go on.
Stole Queen City Q.
And then yeah, like mostly I'm on Twitch. You can find my podcast QCQ on Spotify, iTunes, where that podcast exists.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and I'll follow up with you after to get links to those for James, so that people can, those of you listening on Spotify and Apple and all of those places, you can find Queen's information and go follow them and listen to their podcasts. They're great. And I was on an episode. We talked about queer film.
The first one.
Oh, I'm on the first talking about queer film.
Yeah, I was like podcast. We starting this out.
We starting this out. Well, I feel so honored. I didn't know that. Yeah, that's amazing. So go I got tongue tied for a second there. Go follow Queen. And while you're following Queen, if you're not following us on Twitter, Instagram, all those places at This Movie's Gay, follow me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, all those places at Core Winning. Those are my plugs. Also, follow my theater company. They're doing things. Sawbox Theater Collective. All of the info is in all the previous episodes. Just go find it. Love you all. Thank you. James, on to you.
Hey guys, go over to twitch.tv/mostly speaking Sentai, where I'm playing games and I'm also making beats live on stream now. And speaking of that, go listen to my music wherever music is found under Marshland Monster. You'll enjoy it at least. You probably won't listen to it anymore after the once. You'll say, wow, that's really good. You'll also probably say, wow, that's better than it needed to be. And then for some weird reason, you won't go back to it. That's mainly the feedback I've been getting, if I get any at all. But then go over and listen to our podcasts, such as Mostly Speaking Sentai, This Movie's Gay, What the Hellmouth, and Hit It and Crit It, wherever podcasts are found, or go over to mlmpod.com for information and links to listen to those shows. And go over to patreon.com/MLMpod for exclusive podcasts, such as Engage with Nicolas Cage, Talking About Beyblade, the Toku Reading Corner, and the Podcast That Be. And if you're a $10 patron, oh my God, you get shout outs on every single free feed podcast. So let's
do it now.
Yeah. We have Steve F. Eric Berry of Ranger Command Power Hour.
Eric Berry of Ranger Command Power Hour.
Alex Z, a.k.a. The Waz.
Alex Z, a.k.a. The Waz.
Orion, he's a rapper, and he raps under DFO. That's D-F-O.
D-F-O.
Kayla, a.k.a. Two Grapes.
Two Grapes.
Duo Grun Fox, that's...
2 grun for the price of Fox.
That's also how I mess it up. Tyler Wright, he's a good dad.
Tyler Wright, good dad.
Elliot W.
Garlic Sunshine on Instagram.
And I think that's it. No, it's not, Corwin. We have a new $10
New
patron.
$10 patron? Who could it be?
We know them from the chat. It's Jordan B, the
Jordan
Chaos
B,
Witch.
the Chaos Witch. Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being $10 Patreons. I also have a link for that, MLM Patreon.
And thank you all for watching and listening.
Thanks for watching and listening. Love you all. I've been Corwin.
I've been James.
I've been Queen.
I'm here.
Bye.
Bye.
See you in class,
Bitch sticks. For those of you on Twitch, I'm going to end for a second, and then I will be right back with some variety video games. See you soon.